ביאור משנה ח'. explanation for משנה ח'. אומר אדם לחברו החנווני ביום טוב. A person says to his friend, the storekeeper on Yom Tov. Remember, everybody is a storekeeper. It's not like today. Remember, everybody is a storekeeper. Maleli klize. Oh, another thing that you have to remember. If you live in California, maybe you know it. But if you live over Arizona, we still don't have this stupidity. People did not sell material in packages. The material will be, you will bring your vessels from home and you will fill it in and then you will take it home. Yeah, whatever. You have to bring your own packaging to the store. Not like today. It wasn't pre-packaged. There was no pre-packaged produce. You come to the hen house, you bring a basket. You come to the spice place, you bring cups. Yeah, there's no such thing as give me a cup. No, cups are expensive. What do you mean? I'm not giving you cups. Right? It's not plastic like today, which is cheap. You have to bring your own.
Things are made to last.
That's right. So it says, you're not allowed to come to your friend, the spice guy, he has spices, meleli klize, shemen o yain. He says, this is the wine guy, he has vineyards. He says, here, I have a vessel. Fill me this vessel full of oil, full of wine. אף על פי שהכלי מיוחד למידה. היינו שהחליק מחזיק מידה מסוימת והדרך למדוד בו. So he says, a person is allowed to go to the vineyard and you have a jug and you know exactly, it's exactly 1 gallon, this jug. You know exactly. You're still allowed to go and tell you, fill me this cup.
Good,
fill it to me. Because even though you know for sure now how much you're getting. So it looks like you are measuring. It looks like you're measuring. Okay? But you start. Aval, you're allowed to do that, okay, fill the vessel, but you're not allowed to tell him, give me 2 gallons in here. That you're not allowed to do. Even though it's 2 gallons.
Even though you know the measurement,
that's right.
you can't tell him the measurement.
That's right. You're not allowed to tell him the measurement. אבל לא במידה, שלא יזכיר לו שם מידה. Even though you know this is 1 gallon. You're not allowed to tell him, give me 1 gallon in here. You're not allowed to do it. Once you start doing that, you're willing and dealing again. But you say, fill this. Everybody knows it's 1 gallon. It's fine. כגון מלא לי לוג זה. You're not allowed to do, give me 1 gallon over here. וכדומה. אלא יאמר לו סתם, but you should say, just regular way. מלא לי כלי זה. It says, fill this to me. שהואיל ואין רגילים לומר כך בכל, since that's not the way you will do it in a regular day, on a regular day you say give me 1 gallon because you say it by gallon. Yeah? Over here, we let you do it because even though you know it's a gallon, you will not say it this way in a regular day. In other words, you differentiate between the way you buy on a Yom Tov and between the way you buy on a regular day, and the sage says, we're happy enough. In other words, you're not doing בדרך מקח, אלא בדרך הלוואה או מתנה. You're doing it in a way of a loan or a present. Like your wife goes to a neighbor and says, give me a cup of sugar. Yeah? Later on, she gives her a cup, less of a cup. It's not exact, nobody cares. מותר לומר כך אפילו בכלי המיוחד למידה. So you're allowed to do it even in a vessel that you know the measurement of. רבי יהודה אומר, אם היה כלי של מידה, רבי יהודה disagrees. He says, what are you talking about? It's exactly the same. I disagree. If you know it's a gallon, it's a gallon, it's a gallon. אם היה כלי של מידה, if it was a vessel that was made for measurement, in other words, there's lines over here, 1 gallon, 2 gallon, 3 gallons, it says, well, that's what you're doing. כלי המיוחד למידה, לא ימלאנו. He says, you're not allowed to fill this kind of vessel. Bring another vessel. Don't bring the vessels that they show measurements, because everybody, it's not strange enough, let's call it. אף כשאומר לו סתם, מלא לי כלי זה. Even if he says, just fill me this vessel. כך פירש רבא בגמרת משנתנו. This is what Rabbah says. So what's the halacha? Do we go like Rabbi Yehuda or we go like Chachamim? והרמב"ם פוסק, so the Rambam writes, לפי פירוש זה כחכמים. So the Rambam says, no, the halacha is not like Rabbi Yehuda, it is like Chachamim. How do we know? שכן כותב הוא, because the Rambam writes, אומר לחבני, he says to the storekeeper, Again, remember, it's not a real storekeeper. It's a neighbor. מלא לי כלי זה, fill to me this vessel, ולמחר נותן לו שוויו. And the next day he gives him its measurement. And the Rambam continues, ואפילו היה כלי המיוחד למידה, even though it's a vessel that you measure with. ימלאנו, you're allowed to fill it, והוא שלא יזכיר לו שם מידה, as long as he doesn't tell, give me a gallon, he's okay. He's not, in other words, not like Rabbi Yehuda, like Chamam, like the sages, and this is the halacha, that even though you know the measurement, as long as you don't say the measurement, you're good. יש מפרשים משנתנו, there are those who explains this Mishnah, כפי שפרשה בגמרא, רב יהודה בשם שמואל, like רב יהודה explain it in the name of שמואל. אומר אדם לחברו, a person is allowed to say to his friend, מלא לי כלי זה, אבל לא במידה. He says, fill to me this vessel, but not in a measurement. In other words, not בכלי המיוחד למידה. In other words, you can take another a vessel that has a midah and then fill it. No, you just say fill it. אבל כל העומד למידה, הנו שעדיין לא מדדו בו, אלא שעומד לכך שאם יישבר הכלי שמדובר להשתמש בכלי זה, מותר למלאותו. In other words, if you have another vessel in, even though you don't usually, if you have another vessel in the store, and it's not the vessel that you measure with, the vessel that you measure with constantly, right? It says a 1 gallon. You are what do you call it? You're not the storekeeper is not allowed to use it.
Oh,
He's not allowed to use it. But he has another vessel that he doesn't use for measurement. It's also 1 gallon. That is to be allowed to use. That's what the other people who learns this Mishnah, that's the way they learn it. Rabbi Yehuda, אלא שעומדו לכך שאם יישבר הכלי שמדים ישתמשו בכלי זה, מותר למלאותו. So he says, it's not the usual measuring stick, but it's a measuring container that if the other one will break, I know this is 1 gallon, let's use this one, but that's not the usual way. That we allow you to do on a Yom Tov, but we're not going to allow you to use your regular vessel, because that's measuring. Rabbi Yehuda אומר, אם היה כלי של מידה לא ימלאנו, and Rabbi Yehuda says then, no, I will not allow you to do even that. אפילו כלי שאינו מיוחד למידה, אלא הוא עומד למידה, as long as I know it's a gallon, what's the difference between this one and this one? Rabbi Yehuda says. אפילו כלי שאינו מיוחד למידה, אלא הוא עומד למידה, אסור למלאותו. מכל מקום הלכה כתנא קמא, the halacha is like תנא קמא, that you're not allowed to use your own measurement, but you're allowed to use a vessel that you know the measurement is what it is, as long as you don't use it usually to every day. Good. Next part. Finished. מעשה באבא שאול. There was a case about a sage named Abba Shaul. Ben Botnit, the son of Botnit. He was the first guy to start working smart. You know, the first industrialist.
Yeah.
What did he used to do? שהיה מלא מידותיו ממערב יום טוב. He says, oh, tomorrow people are going to come over here. Yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pre-measure. I'm going to yeah, put it pre-measured. Exactly. I'll do it before Yom Tov. This is half a gallon. This is 1 gallon. This is in other words, he has it already pre-packaged. Pre-packaged. ונותנן ללקוחות ביום טוב. And he used to give them. Says, which one do you want? This is the half gallon. And he can say now. Maybe he can even say, this is the half gallon, this is the gallon, because it's prepackaged. He doesn't have to say, this is the small, this is medium, this is large. He can say small, medium, large maybe. Okay? Maybe it's a question. Can he say actually the value? Or does he need to say small, medium, and large? Good question. I don't know. לפי שאין ממלאים כלי מידה ביום טוב. Not exactly. I was wrong.
Why?
I was wrong. He didn't prepackage it. I'll tell you what he used to do. He used to use his vessels to fill them. He's got 5 measuring scoops of gallon. So he used to fill 5 measuring scoops of gallon, and he used to put it on the counter. Then he has 5 measuring spoons of half gallon. So he puts 5 measuring spoons of half gallon. You come with your own vessel, you will just take it and put it in. Yeah, it's prepackaged, but the vessel remains by him.
Yeah.
You
just pull it in your vessel.
Yeah, just exactly. Yeah, it's pre-packaged, but not to take home the packaging. Yeah. So, לפי שאין ממלאים כלי מידה ביום טוב. It says, because since we already learned, the sages don't allow you to do it on a Yom Tov with a measuring stick, with a measuring spoon. You're not allowed to do it. So used to fill it up, the measuring spoons before Yom Tov. And then all you do is on Yom Tov, come and just put it in your basket. So Abba Shaul Omer, by the way, we say there's a case of Abba Shaul. You remember that in the beginning? The first guy, Abba Shaul, is Ben Botnit, the son of Botnit. This Abba Shaul, right now, is another Abba Shaul. He's not the son of Botnit. So don't think it's the same guy. Okay? Abba Shaul Omer says, Af bermoed, bechol hamoed oseken. So it says, you're thinking, I'm telling you it's going to be a problem. Do you know why it's going to be a problem? Because it's going to be a problem because we want to distinguish between you do the way you buy on Yom Tov to the regular way you buy on a weekday. The problem if you do it this way, according to the way he said it, I'll tell you what the problem is. He didn't do it only on Yom Tov this way. This guy did it every day this way. Whoa. And then, you know what's going to come? You're going to come to the problem that you don't distinguish between buying on Yom Tov. But there's going to be another opinion that's going to come. No, he only used to do it on Yom Tov this way. Why? On a regular day, he was working in the store. That's what he was doing. He was working in the store, so he was there anyway. So that's what he was doing all day long. In other words, in a regular day, he wouldn't pre-measure because he was in the store. On a Yom Tov, he didn't want to be in the store. So he would only do it this way on the Yom Tov. On the Yom Tov, he wanted to be with his family, to learn Torah. He didn't want to spend all day long in the store. So he had to prepare it before Yom Tov. So this is the two opinions now. So he says, if he did it every day, it's a problem. If he didn't do it every day, it's not going to be a problem. Okay. Abba Shaul says, Af b'moed, even during Chol HaMoed, not only in the Yom Tov, or second, he used to do it all the time. Why? Mipnei biburei amidot. He was a guy that liked to give you exact amount. Yeah? שכן בכל המועד היו רבים באים אליו ללמוד. Because this is what he was a rabbi. Remember, this is his house. It's not a store. It happened to be also a store. But this is his house. And a regular day, Chol HaMoed, many people used to come by him to learn. מאחר שבטלים מלאכה, because you cannot learn. Because you cannot work. ולא הייתה לו שהות לברר יפה את המידות שתהיינה שלמות. בלא קצף. הלקח היה מלא מידותיו בלילה. Therefore, he says, look, I don't have time to do this. So for all the Yom Tovs, he used to prepare it. But on a regular weekday, he wouldn't do that. וחכמים אומרים, and the sages says, no. He used to do it every day. וחכמים אומרים, אף בכל הסקן. That's the way he used to do every day. שבערב היה מלא מידותיו. In the evening, he would fill out the containers, שמן, oil, ומערה לתוך הכלים של לקוחות שבו לו. And then in the day, you want a gallon? Here, take the big one. You want a half a gallon? Take the small one. Why? מפני מיצוי המידות. Because he wanted to be very accurate. כדי שיתמצא כל השמן שבמידה לתוך כלי הלוקח. Because he wanted you to get your exact amount. יש מפרשים, there are those who explain, שהיו לו הרבה מידות, that he had a lot of containers, different ones. כגון לוגים, והיה מודד לכל אחד מן הלקוחות במידה בפני עצמה. And in other words, he wouldn't use the same vessel for all the customers. Because then the first guy, after you pour it in, there will be some left in it. And you give the second guy, in other words, you're stealing from the first guy when you give the second guy. You have a little bit. So that's why he says, here, this is yours, get whatever you went out of. That's right. That's why you mean mitsuya midot. I don't want to get into trouble. I gave this to you lesson. That's right. והמידות היו מתמצות והולכות לתוך כליהם. So everybody used to get exact amount.
כל הלילה.
ויש מפרשים שמדד להם מבערב כדי שלא לשהות להמתין בכל כלי עד שיתמצא לתוכו כל השם של המידה. Oh, it looks like it was earthenware and it would absorb a little bit. So it doesn't, once it absorbed completely, then it doesn't absorb anymore and then you can pour it on. For example, he was even worried about the absorption of the vessel. Because if it was earthenware that he used to measure with, it will suck in the billiard oil. You're stealing it from the customer. So he says, I'll let it be overnight. So he let it be overnight. So after, when it went overnight, it went down a little bit. Then he will fill it up all the way to the end. Okay, now it says it's not going to absorb anymore. It's already fully absorbed. Now I'm not stealing from the customer. Okay. Next. הולך אדם ביום טוב, a person goes on יום טוב, אצל חנווני הרגיל אצלו. He goes to the guy he usually goes to. For example, in America it doesn't happen, but in Israel everybody's going to know what I'm talking about. You come to the store and you say, תרשום לי. It says, write down how much are you. Yeah, write for me. Yeah. So it says, are you allowed to do that in Yom Tov? You go to your neighbor, says, hey, on a regular day you say, hey, write what I'm taking. So write down. אצל חנווני רגיל אצלו. So you're allowed to go by a person you usually go to. שהוא נותן לו בהקפה, and that guy gives it to him and says, pay me in the end of the month, it's okay. I'll give you on a loan until the end of the month. ובלא קביעת מחיר. And we says, in the end of the month, we're going to make a calculation. You gave me eggs, I gave you this, you gave me this. We're going to make a calculation, who owes who in the end of the month. ואומר לו, and then he tells to him, תן לי ביצים ואגוזים במניין. He says, I need 10 eggs. Write to me 10 eggs. כגון, תן לי 10 ביצים או 50 אגוזים. For example, he's allowed to tell me, give me 10 eggs, or give me 15 nuts. Why? שכן דרך הבית להיות מונה בתוך ביתו. Because this is the way you would usually do. הלקח אין בהזכרת המניין משום מכך או ממכר. Because that is not considered to be dealing with. Let's explain this. Your housewife, when she goes to the neighbor, she says, give me 2 onions on a Yom Tov. Okay. So this is what's happening. He says, give me 2 onions. He says, this is not billing and willing. This is the way they used to talk. He says, just like your housewife goes to the neighbor and says, hey, I need 5 tomatoes. Yeah? You say you're allowed to do that in Yom Tov? So over here, this is what's happening. This is, we're not going to call willing and dealing, because that's the way you would also talk in your house, and it's a regular way. We're not going to call that willing and dealing. You know, again, the structure is a bit strange because we're not in that culture. But just that you remember, in that culture, it was normal to say, give me 5 eggs on a Yom Tov. Okay. You know, in our thing, it looks like willing and dealing. Remember, they used to do it every day with the neighbors. Every day you would go to get eggs with the neighbors. Every day he would go to the apple guy to get apples. Every day this guy would go to the wine guy. Because you don't need 50 wine guys. You just need 1 wine guy. This is the way it was happening. Maybe 2 if it's a big city. But that's the idea.
1 guy with a chicken.
Yeah, if he has chickens, why you getting chickens? Get something else that he doesn't have. Up to here today.